All good?
Yeah.
Okay, hi guys.
Hello. Hello everyone.
We are now starting our live stream. I hope the one that you've been looking forward to. Yeah. No, I think you need to.
Yeah, I'll be entertaining you myself for a bit. Okay, I will not.
How? That's okay. Sorry,
Some technical issues.
Okay,
so,
all good,
yeah,
all good.
All good.
All good, sorry. Okay, should be good.
Okay. All right. So sorry for the small issues in the beginning.
Sorry, I had a small technical issue. I thought I was streaming to my own page for some reason, and I was just freaked out for a second. But we're here now, and if you're interested, it's not the first time we do the live stream. So, yeah. So I can see there's already a few of you here. So if you could please let us know if you can see us well and hear us well, we would really appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as always, we'll be starting slowly. We'll give you a couple more minutes to all join and prepare your questions and give us feedback if you can hear us and see us and everything. And then we'll start with the topic of today's free immigration advice or consultancy or live stream, which will be about the long-term residence permits, their types, how to get them, how to extend your stay in the Czech Republic, and everything related to that. So, if you're here already and there are a few of us already watching us, so meanwhile you can see the topics, what we'll be discussing today. So before we officially start, you can take a look, you can prepare your questions.
Yes, if you have questions, yeah, thank you very much, exactly how you say. Thank you, Ellie. Yes, if you have a question, just put it on the chat. That's what I have. I don't know if you can see, but I have my laptop here, and we'll be reading your questions when it comes to the topic. Sometimes, for example, if you put a question and we know we're going to talk about it in a second, we will just answer it in a second. But if we know that it's a good question, we're not going to answer it now, we'll just go right away. Also, let me just come here. Another phone we have our live stream on Instagram. So, we're going to have 2 live streams. Thank you very much for commenting, and thank you very much for already commenting and telling us if you hear us well and everything. We're really looking forward to connect with you.
As always.
Yeah, and just again to introduce us, this is Jan, my name is Daria, and we are the founders of Move to Prague Relocation Experts and Your First Friend in Prague. We offer all kinds of visa and immigration and real estate consultancy here in the Czech Republic. And what we're here now is that we are having this huge project. The part of this project is that we have a 90-minute live webinar for you when we answer all your questions every month. We also always have topics ahead. If you're interested, it's on our page, where you can see all the topics and all the days. There is an event, you can put a notification on it so you don't miss it. It's totally free, you can ask your questions, and then this video is going to be recorded and stays on the page, and you can just contact us anytime for any additional questions.
Yeah, I believe this live stream will be a bit more hands-on or more focused on your questions, because long-term residence permits are a very complex topic, and there are different types of them, like employee cards, business residence permits, family reunification, and all of them are kind of full of documents you need to obtain, and there are plenty of small rules. So if we went through everything step by step, it would be not for 60 to 90 minutes, but for 60 to 90 days probably. So we'll be probably more answering your questions and your specific situations, and yeah, we'll more focus on you than on the general theory.
We already have a first question from Daniel. I have a question about health insurance, health assistance for foreigners. Do you think there will be time to touch this topic? What do you mean exactly by health assistance? If you mean health insurance, We can touch it briefly. We talked more about it our last live stream. If you mean something else, let us know. And if you have some concrete question, please go ahead and pop it in. We will answer it.
Yep, gladly. So do you think we can start?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we already have quite a few people here, so yeah.
Okay, so let's officially start it. First, I will tell you a bit about the current situation. If you're here already in Prague or in the Czech Republic, you probably know how it looks with COVID and all the restrictions and everything, but Daria will tell you a bit more about that. So that will be like the first minute or two, and then we'll jump right into the topic of long-term residence permits.
Yeah, so a few COVID news, nothing really interesting. You probably have noticed, if you already live here, you probably noticed that the cases unfortunately have been rising more than, that was very thematical. Yeah, so the cases have been rising, unfortunately, but maybe good news is that not so many people are in hospital. But of course, we're not Jan, we're not health workers, so we're not really going to focus on medical issues of that, but we are more on how this situation impacts the immigration and the visa issues in the embassies. So more and more embassies open up actually for visa appointments. And they even claim on the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, they claim that the embassies will continue to open up even if the situation gets worse. So
which would be a great news.
Yeah, so it's great news, and you can follow it if you go to Ministry of Foreign Affairs website. You can see which embassies are opening up and which agenda they're open to. So this probably is the first news. The Ministry of Interior hasn't released any new information about that, apart from that you have to wear a mask and disinfect your hands. Otherwise, there's no information at all, and nothing new from since July. Actually, nothing happened with them. Yeah, I think the high schools are closing up, so it's all online education. The outdoor activities also are somehow restricted. And probably maybe the last piece of news is that if you follow the news, you know that the former health minister left his post, and there's a new health minister, Mr. Primula, and we'll see.
They're all looking forward to what he will bring.
Yeah, so it might change a little bit. It's too sad because the ex-minister, just in our opinion, he did a great job. He did a lot of modernization of the health infrastructure in the Czech Republic, but it's just my or our opinion, so don't take it very seriously. So this is just this news. We'll see what it brings. Anyway, new health minister claims or swears he's not going to shut the economics down again because probably the Czech Republic wouldn't survive it. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully it gets better. Hopefully it will go just really fast and just gonna be over in no time.
Okay, thank you. And let's now see what we'll cover today. So in the beginning, we'll just give you a bit of general information about the long-term residence permits. For those of you who are already here, and if you're watching later the video, just the recording, you can skip this part probably because it's just how it all works. Or maybe you can like refresh your knowledge and your memory. Then we'll get to your questions because I guess we'll receive plenty of them, so we'll focus on that. And if there are not that many questions, we'll follow the topics of mainly the business residence permit, because that's a very, very popular type of residence permit for all English teachers and IT specialists and other freelancers. Then we'll also discuss the topic of employee cards and also family reunification long-term residence permit. So we'll go through that. I don't know if you have already some question related to any of that, or if we have specification of the health insurance question.
Unfortunately, we don't have the specification of the health thing yet. Please let us know. We have two questions. One is about the non-dual employee card. It's a great question, and a question about temporary residency and permanent residency.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think, but the last one is for EU citizens. Oh Yeah, we have actually, and wow, you guys are very active today. Thanks so much.
Oh, so okay, let me maybe start on the non-dual employee card, and then we can get to the rest.
There's no question specifically yet. So Ellie, please, if you have a question specifically about the non-dual employee card, if there's something exactly that interests you, let us know. We'll answer you. About the health assistance. My girlfriend moved in September last year. In February 2020, she started work as a teacher in Prague. She has a simple contract and gets paid based on the hours performed, normally 2 or 3 per week. I was curious in case she'd need medical assistance, if she can still be treated as a tourist, or she should arrange some sort of personal health insurance. It really depends, firstly, where your girlfriend is from. This is quite an important question, and if she has any kind of residency or visa here, it's very important. So if you could share maybe a little bit more information in case we don't get to this list, I will just leave you a comment in the chat. Okay?
Yeah, and also it's important to see what kind of contract she works under. If she has the trade license and works as a freelancer, or if she has just like DPP, like a part-time employment, or what kind of employment she has. Because some types of employment and for example, the trade license allows you to contribute to the public healthcare system, so she would be covered by the public healthcare system. If she only works, for example, under the DPP, like a short-term contract or part-time contract, then she's not allowed to contribute. So if you can give us a bit more information, that would be perfect.
So the girlfriend is from Italy.
Greetings from Italy. Greetings to Italy.
No, the girlfriend is from Italy.
Girlfriend is from Italy. Okay. Okay. So in that case, as an EU citizen, she can contribute to the public healthcare system. So then it depends on the contract she has. Because if she, for example, gets the trade license and works as a freelancer, then she needs to pay on monthly basis the social security and healthcare, which means some extra costs for her. On the other hand, she is part of the public healthcare system, so basically whatever happens, she will be covered. If it's something small or if it's something very serious, she will basically always be treated for free. There are only a couple exceptions, like if you want some either dental care, because even Czech citizens do not get most of the dental care covered. So that's kind of like an exception. And also if you were not happy with the regular treatment, which is covered, but you wanted to get something higher, some like better quality or high quality medical care, in that case, you might need to pay from your own pocket as well. But if you're happy with whatever treatment the hospital offers, then that's for free. The same would apply in case she has some contract where she gets paid more than 10,000 crowns a month, because in that case the employer needs to pay social security and healthcare on her behalf in most cases. So that would be the same as with the trade license. If she doesn't have any of those, I believe you mentioned that she only works a couple hours a week, so maybe she doesn't have the public health insurance. In that case, she can either try to transfer her health insurance from Italy to the Czech Republic, which is also possible. If she's paying health insurance in Italy, she can get a health insurance card here, but there is some process involved in that. Or she can buy a private health insurance, and then she can choose from all the health insurance companies there are in the Czech Republic. We work with two. We work with Maxima because they are reasonably priced, but they have a good coverage and they are mainly not afraid to pay if something happens, because obviously the private health insurance is private. So those are private providers, private companies, so they do it to earn money. So of course there are conditions on what they pay, what they don't pay, what they cover, what they don't cover. And from our experience, Maxima is probably the best with the ratio of the cost and how much they cover and how willing they are to pay if something happens. And then we work with PVZP, which is basically the best option you can get on the market, because they're kind of a daughter company of the public healthcare provider, VZP. And so they use their structure of doctors. So they have like 4,000 contracted doctors. So especially if you live in some smaller town or village, it's more likely that you will get covered or treated by a doctor if you have the PVZP insurance than if you, for example, have Maxima or some others. So we offer those two options. If you want to know more, let us know. We'll be happy to send you the pricing and calculations, and we can go through that in more details.
Good, we have a lot of questions today, that's great. Amira is asking, thank you for your question. Can we start a new application even during this COVID situation? You can, it depends, unfortunately, it depends on a lot of factors. It depends if you are not yet in the Czech Republic or you are. If you are in the Czech Republic, you can start it. The Ministry of Interior works, so they will process your application one way or another. If you're outside of the Czech Republic, it will depend whether the embassy under which you belong to, it depends where you can apply for your visa and where you're from. If they're already working and if they are taking new applications on your agenda. If they do, which we can check online, and we can send you a link later where you can check the embassies. If they do, you can apply, you can have absolutely a new application even during this COVID situation. We have clients who are applying now from abroad, from here. As soon as your embassy works and they say, yes, we can apply for these things, you can apply. So maybe you can also share a little bit more information with us, and we'll be happy to tell you if it works or not.
Yep.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
We have a lot.
Yeah, a lot. Okay.
Yeah. We have a question from Madhavan. Unfortunately, not that nice question. Why is the Czech company not sponsoring a visa for international people? I've been having this problem for 1 year. Most of the company reject an application because of providing a visa.
Yeah, there are a couple reasons for that, but the main reason is that it can be a pretty long process to get the work permit, so-called employee card. Because if you're from non-EU country and you want to work in the Czech Republic, get employed in the Czech Republic, you need to apply for something called employee card. It's also one type of the long-term residence permit. And to get the employee card is kind of a complex process which involves a couple steps, and the whole process can take anything from 3-4 months if you're lucky, to like a year or even longer if you're not that lucky. And many companies are just not willing to go through this struggle, and especially if they're looking for someone like someone they really need, like they need you to start working in 2 months or 3 months or 4 months, and they know that they might need to wait for you for like a year. It's usually not worth for them. So that's probably the biggest reason, because it just the process of obtaining the employee card or blue card or any other type of employment visa, let's say, can be pretty like complicated and can take a lot of time or a long time. So many companies are just not willing to go through that. Also, if the company is not like really experienced with like immigration processes, it can be pretty overwhelming for them to, like, if they look at it and they see, okay, I need to do this and this and this, and then we still need to wait for 6 months and something, then it can just scare them off. But there's one tip for you. We'll share the link. I don't know if we can do it right now or if we'll do it later. But there is a link. If a company in the Czech Republic wants to hire foreigners from non-EU countries, the first step is always advertising the position for which the foreigner will be hired through the labor office. So there is an official database of vacancies available to foreigners from non-EU countries. So if you look for jobs through this database, all the companies advertising there know what is involved in the process, and they are ready to hire people from abroad. So if you are looking for a job, this website might be the best, or might give you the highest chances of finding a job, because it's specifically for this purpose. So we will be happy to share the link. Just one thing about that is that this step is part of the process also if you have a concrete person already chosen. So if the company already chose you and they are not really looking for anyone else than you, they still need to advertise the position through this website. So if you go to the website and you see that there is only one position available in that particular company, it's most likely already created for someone else who will be applying for the employee card. So they will not really be willing to hire anyone else. But especially if you find companies which are offering more vacancies, and looking for more people, then there are definitely higher chances for you to get the job through them because they already know what is involved, they've done the first step, and they are most likely to be willing to help you with that. So we'll share the link. I'll just write it down, and we'll share the link to that database shortly.
Yeah, we have a lot of questions today. Another question is from Lillian Randon. Thank you again for joining and for being so supportive and so asking us so many questions. I'm always very happy to see that. My question is, how much time can it take to change a new employee with an employee card? Thanks a lot.
Yeah, if you're already in the Czech Republic and you have the employee card and you want to change the job, or either a job within the same company, so you will be working for a different or at a different position, or if you want to change companies completely, there are a couple of rules about that. First rule, or two rules in the beginning, are that you cannot change your employer sooner than after 6 months of the initial employment. So if you got your employee card, let's say 1st of January, you cannot change your job until the end of June. That's first rule. Second rule is that you cannot really change the job if your new employer is an employment agency. That doesn't happen that much now, especially because the rule has been on for some time already. But if you got an offer from an employment agency, you cannot switch jobs to that. Then, if everything is fine, if you've been here for longer than 6 months, and if your new employer is a standard employer like a company, not employment agency, you have to report the change of employer at least 30 days in advance. So that's basically the only limitation. Because if you, for example, want to start the new job on the 1st of December, you need to deliver the information about the change of employer to the ministry latest 1st of November, or like 30 days in advance. If you do it later, then they will not even accept the application and you will not be allowed to change the employer. If you send it sooner, or like more time in advance, or like the 30 days in advance, they will check all the documents, and if they are correct, then after those 30 days you can change the position. So officially the process is not that complicated and should not take that long. The thing is that the new position also needs to be advertised through the website I was talking about before. Usually it needs to be there, the position needs to be posted for between 10 to 30 days. So that's one time which you will need to wait for sure, like 10 to 30 days to get the vacancy number which you need, and then let's say 30 days to process the change of employer. So in total would be like 2 months if everything goes well. If the company, for example, already has the vacancy number because they've been advertising the position for some time already, then it's basically just the 1 month of waiting for the ministry to let you know.
I hope it was clear. Sorry, I'm just looking at the comments.
Yeah, if something is not clear, please let us know, because we've been in the business for years, for 8 years already. So sometimes like everything makes sense in our head and we think it's like simple and understandable, but if you're hearing about this for the first time, it might not be that clear, and we sometimes forget about it, especially me. So if you don't understand something, we're here for you today, so don't be afraid. Write to the comment, hey, I didn't really get this, could you please repeat it or rephrase it or something, and we'll of course do that, because this live stream is here, or we are here for you today to answer all your questions and to be useful to you. So please use that opportunity and don't be afraid to say if you don't understand something.
Yeah, another question about the employee card. So it's nicely continue on the topic from Ellie. I will get my non-dual employee card next week. In case I will get fired or lose my job for some reason, how long do I have to get a new job? They said in the law that only that within 3 days I get a new job, I should report it to the Ministry of Interior. It doesn't say there about the 60-day rule finding a job for the holder's employee card. I want to ask what really are the benefits of having a non-dual employee card aside from having access to the free labor market. What applies to us non-dual employee card holders compared to ordinary employee card holders? Thank you.
Okay, plenty of questions. I'll try to cover everything. If I forget something, let me know, either you, Daria, or Ellie, please let me know. Yeah, honestly, this is kind of not clear to us either, because it's not written anywhere how long you have to change an employer. So I would stick to the 60 days, because the thing is, even if you, because no one is like actively checking at the ministry, so even if you're unemployed for a couple months and you don't report it to the labor office, or you're not asking for any benefits or like unemployment benefits or something like that, the ministry doesn't really have much chances to find out. So you could probably stay here a couple months without a job and it would have no bad influence on your employee card. But especially if you decided to extend it once it's expiring, then the ministry will be checking everything carefully. And then you might have a problem to extend it, even though they didn't care for 2 years basically that you were unemployed, then they could care for the extension. So I would stick to those 60 days, even though it's not written officially, or I'm at least not aware of that. Just as you mentioned, keep in mind that you need to report the change within 3 days to the ministry. So you definitely need to do that in time to avoid any trouble. So for the rest of the questions, what are the benefits? The main benefits are that you don't need to stick with one employer, and changing employer is much easier for you than for like standard employee card holders, because as explained a couple minutes ago, there are some rules which apply if you want to change your employer under the standard employee card, the dual one. So you don't have to go through that. Also, the advantage is that your employer doesn't need to advertise the position for the 30 days with the labor office, so everything is faster and smoother for you. Those are the main advantages. Besides that, the theory behind the card is the same, so it's also maximum validity is like 2 years. So there are not like any other benefits I would know of, but this is already a great benefit that everything is much smoother, much like shorter, and it gives you more opportunities. So you don't need to stick with your employer, and you can easily change the job. Your employer doesn't need to advertise the position.
Yeah. Hope it was clear.
Yep.
Yeah, Ellen is just adding something for the same question you just was you were answering. It's for us students who are transitioning from being students to work.
Yeah, that's a standard case. Just you need to be careful, like when you're doing that, because many people, many students kind of don't take it that seriously, and it can bring you some problems, because many students, for example, get the non-dual employee card while they are still studying, because as a student you have free entry to the labor market, so you can also get the non-dual employee card. But if you, for example, leave your studies, you do not finish the studies and you do not get a Czech diploma, then when you leave the school, you lose the right to have the access to the labor market. So you're no longer allowed to work unless you have the standard employee card. So many people don't realize that, then they get the employee card, then they leave the studies or switch to a school which is not accredited. So basically they're no longer like official students. They're just like, they fall under the other purpose of stay, and they're not like official students. And in that case, you don't have the free access to the labor market. So you need to be careful about, but it's a general rule. When you're changing your purpose of stay, if you're switching from one type of visa or one type of residence permit to another, you need to be really careful, and it's better to consult us or someone else if you wish before you do that. Then like apply for something which you're not really sure about, and then solve the problems which it can bring. Because especially in this case, if you're a student and you're switching to the employee card, that's kind of like a sensitive topic, and it's there are many things you need to keep in mind. So it's always better before you make some change, come to us, consult with us, and then do it properly. Because if you do something incorrectly, or you make some mistake, it might end up in you losing the residence permit, and you need to leave the Czech Republic. So that would be very unfortunate. So before you do something, it's always best to consult with us in advance.
Okay, please give us your feedback if it was clear or not. We have our first question from Instagram.
All right.
Yeah, also about the employee card. So, Red will just switch a little bit here because our Instagram streamer is here. So, sorry for a second. Hi, I have an employee card. Hi to you too. Thank you for the question. I have an employee card, but I leave Czechia a lot. I can work remotely wherever I am. Is there a rule about how long you can stay abroad or in Czechia? Like you must stay at least 6 months in Czech Republic? That's a good question.
That's a good question. It's not that uncommon, actually, especially during these times when everything is moving online and people don't really need to go to offices. But it's a bit complicated. So it would maybe be better to discuss this once we finish the live stream, and we can get on the phone or on the chat or something, and we can discuss it in details. In general, as long as you have everything covered by your employment contract, and as long as you continue the employment, then you're kind of fine, because for the extension of the employee card, they will only check if your contract is still valid, and so they don't really check how much you travel, and especially if you travel within Schengen area, they have no even chance to find out if you spend 3 months in Germany or 2 months somewhere else. So from this perspective, it's not that risky or something, but it needs to be well written in your employment contract that you can travel and that they can send you to work trips and all that. Another thing is if you travel outside of Schengen space, because then there is a record of you leaving and they can calculate everything and how much time you spend here. In general, there are 2 rules. First, that you should always, whatever type of visa or residence permit you have, you should always fulfill the purpose of your stay. So if you're a student, you should be studying. If you have a business visa, you should be running business. And there are some court rulings that you should be doing this at least half of the time. So we can kind of translate it in the way that if you have a residence permit in the Czech Republic, but you're living permanently somewhere else, the ministry could deny, if they find out, they can deny the employee card, saying, okay, but you live in Germany, so why do you have an employee card in the Czech Republic? So be careful about this. There was another thing, that especially if you travel outside of Schengen space, when you get stamped and everything, there are some limits how much time you can be outside of the Czech Republic if you're going for the permanent residency. So it might not endanger traveling or staying somewhere else, it might not endanger directly your employee card itself, but if there is a record of you traveling a lot, that might endanger or at least extend the period for your permanent residency if you go for that. So hopefully that was good enough answer. If not, please get in touch with us and we can either elaborate more or we can discuss privately.
We don't even have time to speak. Yes, so many questions. It's amazing. We have another question. It's a little bit different, but I just wanted to devote some time on that. It's a question from Handla Said. I hope I pronounced it correctly. Be free to correct me if I'm not. Hi, my fiance lives in Prague and is Czech citizen. She wants me to apply for long-term visa based on the relationship. What is the best way to proceed? I have some good news for you. In your case, you don't need to apply for a long-term visa. You need to apply for temporary residency as a family member of European Union citizen. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna answer your comment with the link we have. If you go, for everybody, if you go to our website, which is movetoprague.com /blog, I think, you will see a blog we wrote. Basically, we're discussing and we're writing about everything that that might interest you, and we try to write it in a very simple way so normal people like you and I can understand. So instead of reading the Ministry of Interior website, the law and everything, we're just reading all this and processing it and then letting go the simple version of it. So now in that article, in case you have a partner or a spouse from Czech Republic or European Union who reside permanently here, you can apply, which is commonly known as partnership visa. but the serious name of it is Temporary Residency, or the European Temporary Residency Certificate for a family member of European Union citizen. You apply for it here in the Czech Republic. You don't apply it outside. So basically, what you need to do is first to come here and apply from here. You will have 90 days or till the end of your visa, whatever comes first, to apply for this type of residency. It gives you a lot of benefits. For example, now we were talking about the employee cards, and we were talking about the free access to labor market. As soon as you apply for it, you have instant access to labor market, just like any other Czech person. It's given to you. The residency permit is given to you for 5 years. You can stay here throughout the process. It gives you so many benefits. You just have to prove that your relationship is well, marriage or very close to marriage. You live together, share expenses, plan your future, maybe have a child together. All of this. So I'm gonna share the link with you now, and hopefully it's gonna help. If you need any help with that, let us know. I will be very happy to answer, or Jan will be very happy to answer. It's a long topic. So drop us a message on Facebook or our email address. We'll be very happy to help you with that.
Yeah, that's actually a very, very good option, because it's way easier than getting any long-term visa, and especially the employee card of business or something. So if you have the option, if you can prove that you've been in a relationship, then definitely do that, and yeah, let us know. We'll be happy to help with that.
So I'm just trying to copy the link, and I will be.
Yeah, so I'll maybe now start with a bit of the theory. Then
No,
yeah,
there are so many questions. No, so
okay.
we don't have time for theory. No time for theory today.
Okay.
So hopefully it was also helpful to you. What else do we have here? If I'm question from Amira. If I'm living in Mauritius, how do I proceed with interview if there is no Czech embassy in Mauritius? If there is no Czech embassy in Mauritius, you have to find the embassy that is the closest, or that is for your region.
Yeah, which is responsible for Mauritius. Yeah, if you remind us, or if you drop us a message, we'll be happy to find it out which embassy it is. But I believe if you're Mauritian, then you can apply through any Czech embassy in the world, if I'm not mistaken. So you could go to Berlin or to Vienna or some other embassies. But if this doesn't apply to you, and you can only apply in the country of your origin, and there is no Czech embassy in the country of your origin, there is always some embassy which is close to the country of your origin and which is responsible for the country of your origin. So yeah, you just need to find out which embassy it is, and you can apply there.
Yeah. And I think for now I have 2 more questions. And it's all about the education and employee card related. So first is question from Hunkar. Again, if I pronounce it wrong, make sure to correct me. After education in the Czech Republic for non-European students, master's degree, what type of card should be applied to stay in the Czech Republic?
Yeah, it depends if you get your diploma from an accredited university, accredited program, or non-accredited. But if you get the standard master's degree, then you can apply for the non-dual employee card, because the Czech diploma grants you a free access to the labor market, so you don't need to apply for any work permission or anything like that. But once your student visa expires, you would not be able to stay here any longer, because you would have no visa. So before your current visa or residence permit expires, you need to apply ideally for an employee card based on an employment contract. If you don't have any, there is now kind of a new option for job seekers, which means that if you are finishing your school, you're getting your degree, but you don't have any work lined up yet, you can apply for a long-term residence permit for job seekers, which is given for 9 months, I believe. It's kind of like extension of your student visa for you to find a job. And then if you find a job during this time, you can switch to the employee card. If you have a Czech diploma, it's easier for you from the perspective, as discussed a bit a couple minutes ago, that your employer doesn't need to advertise the position through the labor office and wait for the 30 days to get the vacancy number, because you have a free entry to the labor market, so you can basically just get an employment contract from your employer, and then you directly can apply for the non-dual employee card at the Ministry of the Interior. So that's the easiest way. But you always need to make sure that whatever you do it enough in advance, because if you let your visa expire before you apply for something, then it might cause you serious trouble, because you might need to travel back to your home country and apply from there, which in some countries can be pretty complicated. So definitely make sure that you do something before your current visa or residence permit expires.
Yeah, and a question related to that, is it possible to switch purpose of stay from study to employment and then back to study? Well, it's possible to switch from study to employment. We were talking about it just right now.
Yeah.
And from employment to study, I think it is.
I believe so as well. We would need to double check this, because there are some changes in the switches, and there are some rules which apply. So we need to double check this. So let me write it down as well.
You have to, before you switch to the purpose of anything, basically, you have to be here for some time. You can just switch it, like if you work, for example, if you just came here, you are here for half a year and then you want to switch. Every purpose works differently. So for example, you can switch to employee card anytime. If you're already here for any kind of long-term residency permit, you can switch to employee card anytime. I think it's the same with the studies. You can switch to study purpose anytime. So this makes me think that you actually can switch it back. Yeah. The question is how the ministry will look at it, if they will not cause you problems, because they actually can invite you for interview and examine if you really worked while you were an employee card, if you really fulfilled your purpose of stay, and whether you're fulfilling your purpose of stay now when you're applying for a study visa. But the fact that you can switch to employee card anytime and you can switch to study residence permit anytime right now because of the new law makes me think it's legally possible.
Yeah, another thing is related to this topic, that you can do two things at the same time. So you can have the employee card, and as long as you stay in the job, you can also study. So if you just find a school which allows you to study distantly and you don't need to go there every day, or if your employer agrees with you going to school and like taking some I don't know, like days off or something, that's possible as well, and you don't even need to switch to the student purpose. If this is possible, I would probably actually even recommend that, because if you're planning on staying longer, like if you like it here, you want to stay forever, then you will be at some point applying for the permanent residency, and all your student years only count as half. So under normal conditions, you can apply for the permanent residency after 5 years of being here. But if you only studied for 5 years, then those 5 years only count as 2.5. So if you studied and you wanted to get the permanent residency, you would have to basically study for 10 years to qualify for the permanent residency. So if it's possible for you to stay under the employee card and study, then that would be probably recommended. Of course, if you had to like limit your work and you would be more studying than working, then yeah, that would be better to switch, because if the ministry finds out that you have the employee card but you actually don't work and you study more, you could get in trouble with that. But in general, the employee card is a very strong residence permit. It's always to stick to it if you can. Yeah,
I think it's all the questions for the moment. So
okay.
You can start with the theory right now.
Theory. I guess that everyone who's watching is already in the Czech Republic or has some experience with that or has some knowledge. So
yeah, I will put a small sorry to interrupt, but you just pick the right moment to tell it, because I just added a small how do you say it? A small question here. When you can answer if you're already living in the Czech Republic, if you plan to prolong it, if you're not planning to prolong it, if you just want to come to the Czech Republic now. Just answer, have some fun, and Jan will tell you more about the prolongation.
Yeah, and anytime we get some question, we'll get back to that. But for those interested in the theory of the things, here it is. So long-term residency usually follows a long-term visa, which means that for many purposes of stay, you first apply for a long-term visa, which can be given for up to 1 year. And then, if you decide to stay longer than the first year, you can switch to a long-term residence permit under the same purpose of stay. Meaning that if you get a long-term visa with the purpose of studies, you should be getting a long-term residence permit with the purpose of studies. It's not really possible to change the purpose of your stay when you're changing from the long-term visa to a long-term residence permit. You should always keep the same purpose of stay. There are some exceptions, like Daria mentioned, the employee card. You can apply for the employee card anytime. So even if you have a long-term visa with purpose of family reunification or studies or something, you can always switch to the employee card. But in general, you should always go with the same purpose of stay from the long-term visa to the long-term residence permit. As mentioned also, in some cases you can apply for a long-term residence permit through a Czech embassy. It can be like your first application. That's again, for example, case of the employee card. So you don't have to be in the Czech Republic to be able to apply for the employee card. The same applies to students, sometimes also to the family reunification. So if you're not in the Czech Republic, you can still apply directly for the long-term residence permit and skip the long-term visa part. But of course, there are some rules you need to follow for that, and mainly in case of, for example, the family reunification, there are some timelines you need to follow. It's the same as with long-term visas. Every long-term residence permit must have some official purpose of stay. Those are the main purposes of stay accepted by the Ministry of the Interior. So it's student or studies. So if you have a long-term visa with the purpose of studies, you can switch to the long-term residence permit with the purpose of studies. Then family reunification, business, employment. If we don't have any questions, I'll go through the different types. We'll probably start with the business purpose of stay of the long-term residence permit with the purpose of business, because we've covered a lot about the employee card now. So we might start a discussion about a different type of long-term residence permit. I don't know if we have any.
No, not really.
No? Okay, so let's say you came here as a freelancer, okay.
Sorry, we do have a question, sorry. I probably have a question from Anna. Hi Anna, thank you for joining. Hi, what kind of permit you get after staying 5 years in Czechia with employee card? Is there some change of status after 5 years?
Okay, yeah, so basically if you have the long-term residence permit with a different purpose than studies, because as mentioned, studies only count as half of the time. After 5 years of continued residence in the Czech Republic, meaning that you've been here for the full 5 years with no breaks, so that you didn't get a visa for 1 year, then you left for 1 year, then you came back again, that would not count. But if it's continuous stay, if you've been here for 5 years under the employee card, then you can apply for a permanent residence permit. And that's basically, that should be your goal. It's a goal for most people who want to stay here long term, because then it changes everything. Getting the permanent residency changes everything. We'll be having a live stream about the permanent residency as well, I believe in one of the coming months. But just a quick information for now. The permanent residency basically means that no one will ever kick you out from the Czech Republic. That's a very strong residence permit. You get it forever. Of course, you need to get a new card every 5 years, 10 years. But you're a permanent resident and you can stay however long you want. For the permanent residency, there is no purpose of stay, so you don't need to work. Once you get the permanent residency, you don't need to work, you don't need to run business. You can basically do whatever you want. It also grants you a free entry to the labor market. So now if you have the employee card, you need to stick with one employer. If you want to change employers, you need to follow some process. Once you get the permanent residency, you can change employers as you wish. You have free entry to the labor market, so you can work with one employer, then change it, and it's pretty simple. You get some other advantages as well. In case of the employee card, it's not really much of a change because you already are the part of the public healthcare system. But for example, if you have the student visa, student residence permit, or the business visa if you're not an American, then you cannot contribute to the public healthcare system for the 5 years. But after you get the permanent residency, you automatically get granted access to the public healthcare. So there are a couple advantages like that. You can also vote in some elections. So that's basically the goal you should be reaching for. The only downside of that, or the kind of complicated thing, anyway, that's the Czech language exam, because you need to pass a Czech language exam to be able to apply for the permanent residency. But as of now, it's equivalent to A1, I believe. So it's like a really simple exam, and if you've been living here for 5 years, I believe you should be able to pass the exam.
Good.
Let me know if I explained everything enough. If you need some more information, please write it into the chat, and I'll be happy to elaborate, or we can arrange a private call or chat or something.
Yeah.
Yep. Some more?
No.
No. Okay. So back to the general information. Let's now focus on the business purpose of stay, because as mentioned, if you came here, for example, as an English teacher or IT professional or some other like freelance purpose of stay, and you have the long-term business visa, now the sticker in your passport for 1 year, once you're getting close to the end of your visa, you will need to switch. If you want to stay longer than the first year, you will need to switch from the long-term visa to the long-term residence permit. And the process is unfortunately one of the most complicated ones. Most of the visas and their extensions and residence permits are kind of not simple, of course, but they have some like clear rules. The business purpose of stay in case of the long-term residence permit is kind of complicated, because there are many things you need to keep in mind. So you need to be like careful when you're switching to the long-term residency, and it's ideal to use our help, for example, to help you with that. Because if you haven't been through the process, it can be pretty overwhelming. There are three main things which you need to be careful about. We will be also sharing a link about the business residence, or we've maybe done that.
We already have it. It's pinned to the comment section.
Okay, perfect. So you can always go to our website, to our blog post, and read more about that. We list all the documents you need for that, and all the processes and all the things to focus on. But basically, to give you an idea, if you have the long-term visa, or when you're getting the long-term visa with the purpose of business, so as an English teacher or other freelancer, you basically just need to show that you have enough money in your bank account. Now it's the equivalent to 125,000 Czech crowns. And you need to show that you have some kind of business plan and that you have some work lined up once you arrive to the Czech Republic. For the residence permit, this would no longer be enough. For the residence permit, you need to prove that you've been earning enough money on monthly basis, which can sound like easy, but it can be a bit tricky. Then you need to prove that you have no debts in any of those authorities, like Social Security, healthcare, tax office, customs, and those are like plenty of documents you need to get. And there are many like funny small things, like for example, the proofs of no debts. They cannot be older than 30 days when you're delivering them to the ministry, but all those authorities have 30 days to issue them. And some of the authorities like prove that you have no debts at the date when you submitted the application, or when they started like dealing with your application. So sometimes it happens that you get the proof of no debts, but it's almost like expired when you get it, because like it's only valid for 30 days. So you need to coordinate everything properly. And there are many things like that, because for example, your trade license is always, it always has the same validity as your visa. So you need to be careful about like your trade license to not expire, because if your trade license expires, you kind of stop fulfilling the purpose of your stay, because your purpose of stay is business, But if you don't have a valid trade license, then you cannot really do business, and the ministry will see that and could deny your residence permit application based on that. So there are many things like that you need to be careful about. So if you're in that phase that you're now under the business visa and you will be switching to the long-term residence permit under the purpose of business, either ask the questions now, because we'll be happy to answer them right now online, and we can discuss it right here, or read the blog post. If you're, for example, watching the recording of this session, go to our blog post and read all the rules and make sure that you memorize everything and you know everything before you start dealing with the application. Or of course, get in touch with us and we'll be happy to help you with that, because really it needs to be. It's great when you get it, because it can be done. It can be given to you for 2 years, and it's stronger than the visa, and it allows you to live here for 2 years, so you can kind of relax for 2 years. But it needs to be done properly, otherwise you can get in more trouble than to save yourself some stress. So it's important to be careful about this. If we don't have any more questions for now, we can go to the family purpose of stay. So if you're okay, so who can apply for the family reunification purpose of stay? People mainly like close relatives of a person who already has some valid long-term visa or long-term residence permit in the Czech Republic. If you're talking now about the family reunification long-term residence permit, then the person you're reuniting with needs to have a long-term residence permit as well. So for example, there's wife and husband, and the husband comes here first, gets a job, he has the employee card, and then he wants to bring his wife. Of course, other way around, it works the same way. If first the wife comes here, finds a job, gets the employee card, and wants to bring her husband, that's the same system. When the main applicant gets the employee card, then the family, either wife or kids, or husband, they can follow him or her to the Czech Republic using a long-term visa with the purpose of family reunification. Again, the visa can be given for 1 year, and once you're getting close to the expiration of your visa, you will have to switch to the long-term residence permit with the purpose of family reunification. If you already have the visa, the switch can be or have to be done in the Czech Republic at the Ministry of the Interior. In some cases, you can apply for the long-term residence permit directly through a Czech embassy. There are some rules for that, but for example, if the main applicant gets an employee card and he or she has been here for longer than 6 months, then the family, if they are not here yet, they don't have to apply for the long-term visa with the purpose of family reunification, but they can directly apply for the long-term residence permit for the purpose of family reunification. It's better from the perspective that the residence permit can be given for a longer period of time, and also under some conditions, it can also allow you to work in the Czech Republic. I mean the spouse, the person who's applying for the family reunification residence permit. Yeah, that's mostly about it. We could go deeper in the topic of family reunification and who can work and who cannot work, but I'm not sure if anyone here is in that situation or interested in that now. So if you are, let us know, send us a message. I'll be happy to elaborate.
Yeah, also send us some reactions or comments, please. If you're still watching, if you haven't fallen asleep yet, you will be surprised, but we're actually enjoying what we're talking about. It might seem very boring to some, but I don't know, it just keeps us going, you know? You just can talk about it for hours and hours and hours, and that's why I would keep talking about it. So please let us know that you're still watching, that you haven't fallen asleep. Just let's shake it a little bit. But we are very happy that at the beginning you were asking so many questions, and just now we got to this theory that we had planned to do at the beginning. It's very refreshing. Just give us some feedback, just give us some insights, or at least some, thumbs up or some reactions. It will be so much appreciated.
Yeah. Also, it's a great thing that the ministry always changes the rules and updates the immigration law, and that everything changes because it keeps us entertained. You know, if the law was the same for 10 years, it would be kind of boring to deal with that. But if they change it officially and unofficially every now and then, it gets more interesting to us. So we're happy for that, and we still enjoy that. So we've been talking here for almost 1 hour, right?
Yeah, 1 hour, almost exactly.
So it's kind of a long time. So thank you very much for those who've been staying with us for that long time. Officially, this live stream is planned for 60 to 90 minutes. So if there are some questions, we'll be still staying around for another half an hour. If not, we'll be probably finishing sooner because there are no questions and no one is responding to the theory part, which I'm really sad about. There is no point in taking more of your time. So just let us know if you have still some more questions, or if there is someone, I don't want to say nerd, but someone interested in the theory.
Who's really into immigration stuff.
Let us know. I'll be happy to continue talking about the topic for hours. But if not, then just let us know. Just send us some thumbs up or something to let us know that you're still there and that you're still watching, or if there is some topic you would like to hear more about.
Okay, and I will just weirdly sit here and just look at the camera. Yeah. Are you done with your theory?
Basically, yes. Those were the main points. We could go deeper in the topic, but I would ideally need to know what topic people are interested in. So if you let us know, hey, talk more about the family reunification, I'll be happy to talk more about the family reunification. If not, then we can just share some jokes or gossips from the ministry or something.
Yeah, as you can see, maybe if you can see the survey we had on the down our page, we were asking, are you currently living in the Czech Republic? Yes, and prolonging must stay soon, 73%, that's great. Yes, but not prolonging anytime soon, 18%, well, good for you too. And no, but I really want to come, 9%, also great. So contact us and we'll tell you how to get here. And we have a question.
Ooh, go ahead.
Yeah, again from Anna, thank you. Program is heard, or you didn't mention how long we can work from outside of Schengen area, or it depends on the company policy. Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't mention the exact time, because it's more about this is more about employment rules, and we are not expert in that exactly. So as long as you have it covered by your employment contract, you should be fine. But again, as mentioned, no one is really checking the exact time when it happens. So when you leave the Schengen space, the ministry is not really notified, and they will not start the clock, and they will not be checking for how long you've been here or outside. But there is the general rule that if you want to keep the residence permit, you should be fulfilling the purpose of your stay, or at least staying here for at least the half of the time. So I would recommend sticking to that. On the other hand, if you have everything covered in the employment contract, then the company can really prove that you need to be somewhere outside of the Czech Republic to provide work and all this, you should be fine whatever time you spend outside. Just keep in mind what we mentioned about the permanent residency. Then if you're, because you can, I don't remember the exact number, but it's something around 280 days or 260 days, which you can spend outside of the Czech Republic to still be counted towards the permanent residency. So if you spend most of the time outside of the Czech Republic, you might not be able to apply for the permanent residency after 5 years, but maybe only after 7 years, 8 years, whatever time you need to reach the full 5 years in the Czech Republic.
Yeah. You done?
Yeah. That's, okay, that's Douglas. I thought it was the same question. Yeah, so I hope this helps. If not, I can read the immigration law in details, and I can try to find out, but this is more also about the employment law and the labor code and other like laws, so it's not only about the immigration, unfortunately.
Yeah, and we have a question from Douglas. Thank you, Douglas, for always watching our videos, always commenting. It's great to see you. You had mentioned in the last video the Czech ministry is strengthening the you must show and need to live here to new visa applicants. Is it also the case of renewing residency permit? To clarify, my question is whether the ministry will think we can work remotely and therefore not need to have a residency permit renewed.
That's a good question. Thank you, Douglas. Okay. If you're applying for your first visa, let's say in this case the business visa, the ministry can deny your visa for whatever reason. If they don't like the color of your t-shirt, they can deny it because there is no legal right to get a visa for the Czech Republic. It's Czech Republic's decision whom they allow to enter the Czech Republic and stay here and whom they will not. So for the first visa, they can basically deny it if they wish. For the residence permit and its extensions, it's a bit more complicated because it's for the ministry to deny your application because there are other rules they need to follow and other laws and other codes. So it's not that easy for them to deny the application. So it's not about them thinking that you can work from home or from somewhere else. They would need to get some hard proofs of you not fulfilling the purpose of your stay. So for the renewals and for the long-term residence permits, as long as you meet all the official requirements, you will be good and the ministry should not deny the application. For the long-term visa, even if you meet all the official requirements, the ministry still can deny the long-term visa, the first application. But for the residency, for the residence permit, long-term residence permit, they cannot do that. So as long as you are making enough money on monthly basis, as long as and you can prove it, so it's in your tax return or it's in your invoices and in your bank account and all that, and as long as you have no debts in the social security, healthcare, tax office, customs, you're following all the rules, then you should be fine and the ministry should not make much of a trouble to you. Either if you work from home or if you work from like somewhere else.
Okay, no more questions. Let us know. I think we'll be wrapping it up shortly. Thank you all for being here. If you still have any questions, write them down right now. We still have a couple more minutes to answer them. But otherwise, we'll be shortly finishing our live stream for today. Make sure to go to our webpage and to get notifications for any other live streams we're gonna have. Anytime there's a live video, live webinar with us, you will get small notifications, so you can always join.
Yeah, I'm now blushing because Douglas says that we are the best.
Aww.
So thank you very much, Douglas. We're happy this is helpful because we basically came up with this idea during the COVID times because we saw that there was a big confusion among people because there were different rules changing constantly and no one knew what they should do or not do. Unfortunately, it was the same at the Ministry of the Interior, also at the Foreign Police and Ministry of Foreign Affairs, because the rules were changing basically every day during the quarantine and the lockdown and everything. So even when recently we went to the Foreign Police and the police officer, we went there with one client to register her stay after her long-term visa was approved, and the foreign police officer had this huge table downloaded from the website of the ministry, and he was checking okay, so she's from this country, so it's here, but she came from a different country, so it's not here, it's here, and he was really confused there as well. So the rules were really confusing for everyone, especially because it was changing so frequently. So we came up, and we also saw that many people kind of need to extend their residencies or apply for change of employer or apply for something else. And many of you were like really confused and didn't know what to do because the ministry was officially closed, so you had to mail things, and we decided that okay, let's do something extra, and we came up with this idea of giving a free advice. The first live streams were about the COVID situation and what to do, what not to do, and then we also came up with those different topics. So we try to be helpful. We try to not only help through providing other services. Of course, we'll be happy if you come to us and we can provide you with our services to apply for visa, extensions, health insurance, finding accommodation, on all this. But we are also happy to give some free advice. And if it helps you to stay in the Czech Republic and enjoy this beautiful country, then we'll be happy as well. So, coming back to you, Douglas, we are happy that you can see that and that you appreciate it, and that's why we do that. So, thank you very much for that.
Okay. So thank you guys, thank you everybody who joined. If you still have some questions and for some reason you didn't ask it in the chat, just make sure write us a message on Facebook and we'll get back to you about that. Give us some feedback if you liked it or not. Thank you so much for all the comments, all the likes, all your questions. You were great as always. Yeah, we wish you nice rest of the week, nice prolonged weekend. If you're taking a Monday off, as everybody else does.
Yep.
So enjoy your prolonged weekend, enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll be very looking forward to seeing you on our next event or in person.
Yep. Thank you very much, guys. It was great speaking with you today. And yeah, see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.